What if the perfect love story was actually a perfect trap? This is the story of Elise, a woman who gave everything and slowly forgot who she was. If you know someone like her, or if you are her, this story is for you. A story for every girl who still has time to choose differently. Everyone said they were the perfect couple. Elise and Ethan met in their mid-20s, at a mutual friend's dinner party, where he made the whole table laugh. And she thought, this one is different. He was charming, the way certain men are charming. Effortlessly, dangerously. He remembered small things. The way she took her coffee, her favorite flower. He made her feel like the most carefully observed person in the room. She mistook being watched for being loved. They dated for 2 years. He was attentive, occasionally intense, but she wrote that off as passion. When he didn't like her going out without him, she called it devotion. When he criticized her friends, she slowly stopped seeing them, one by one, without ever being told to. She thought it was her own choice. They got married on a Saturday in June. The flowers were white roses. She cried at the altar. Happy tears. She told everyone. She had no idea. Those would not be the last tears. She cried in that dress. The first cut came 6 weeks after the wedding. It was a small thing. She had put her hair up in a high ponytail while cooking. Something she always did. A habit from girlhood. Ethan walked into the kitchen, looked at her, and said, "You look ridiculous. Know your place." She stood very still, wooden spoon in hand, steam rising from the pot between them. She almost laughed. Surely he was joking. But his face was not a joking face. She said nothing. She took her hair down. That night she told herself it was stress. New marriage. New home. New pressures. Everyone had bad days. But that was the first cut. And cuts, when left unexamined, become scars. The language of Ethan's cruelty was never loud. It didn't need to be. It lived in casual sentences, delivered over breakfast, during commercials, in the car, places where there was nowhere to go, nowhere to breathe. I had women lined up before you. Educated women. Women with careers. I don't know what I was thinking. Your cooking is fine, I suppose. My mother did it better. A vegetable vendor would be an upgrade for you now. No one else would have you. I made a mistake. I should have married someone who actually had something to offer. Each sentence was a small demolition. Individually, they could be dismissed. He was tired. He was stressed. He didn't mean it. But collectively, over months, over years, they dismantled her. Not dramatically, not all at once, but the way water erodes stone. Slowly, completely, without apology. And every time, without fail, Elise was the one who apologized. She would find him later, watching television, scrolling his phone, and she would sit beside him and say sorry for things she hadn't done wrong. He never once said, "I'm sorry," in all their years together. Not once. Because in Ethan's world, Ethan was never wrong. 2 years into their marriage, something shifted. It had been an ordinary evening. Elise had mentioned, carefully, gently, that a bill had been missed. A practical thing. A responsible thing. Ethan looked up from his phone. What happened next lasted only a few seconds. His hand came across her face. Not a full swing, but sharp, sudden, deliberate. Then his fingers found her throat, not squeezing hard enough to cut off air, but hard enough to make a point, hard enough to say, I can, and you cannot stop me. He let go, straightened his shirt, picked up his phone again. Elise stood in the middle of their living room, hand pressed to her cheek, and understood for the first time that she was not in a difficult marriage. She was in a dangerous one. She did not call anyone. She went to the bathroom, ran cold water over her face, looked at herself in the mirror for a long time. Then she went and checked on her sleeping son, smoothed the blanket over him, and sat on the edge of his small bed. In the dark, she told herself she would find a way out. She just didn't know how yet. The years continued their quiet erosion. Ethan made financial decisions, the way he made all decisions, impulsively, arrogantly, without consulting her. A failed business venture, bad investments, loans taken without her knowledge, signed in both their names, debt that arrived quietly and settled into the house, like a permanent guest. And still, somehow, it was never his fault. If you had been working, we wouldn't be in this situation. This is what happens when a man has to carry everything alone. Elise had once wanted to work. Early in their marriage, she had mentioned it. A part-time position. Something in administration. Ethan had looked at her with such cold contempt that she had never brought it up again. My wife does not work, he had said. What would people think of me? So she stayed home. And when the money ran out, she had nothing of her own. No savings. No work experience on paper. No way out that she could calculate. The trap had been built so gradually, she hadn't noticed the walls going up. By the 4th year, a second child had arrived. A little girl, with Elise's eyes. Elise had hope, the way trapped people hope, that the children would soften him, that watching his daughter take her first steps might remind him what gentleness felt like. It didn't. One evening, over a disagreement about money, that had become a disagreement about everything, Ethan shoved her. Hard. Her back hit the kitchen counter. She grabbed the edge to keep from falling. The children were in the next room. She could hear the television still playing. Some cartoon, cheerful and absurd, against the silence that followed. He walked away. She stood in the kitchen, gripping the counter, and made a decision. So quiet, it made no sound at all. I am getting out. I don't know when, but I am getting out. She had no one left to call. Her friends had faded years ago, not through any single argument, but through 100 small cancellations, unanswered messages, and the quiet shame of not being able to explain why her life had become so small. Her parents were far away, aging, and she had protected them from the truth for so long that the truth had become unspeakable. She was alone, in a full house. Some nights after the children were asleep, she would sit by the kitchen window, And pray. Not elaborate prayers. Just the same quiet words. Over and over. Like breathing. Help me. Please. Show me a way. The 6th year brought the 3rd incident. It was smaller than the others. A backhand across her shoulder. Almost casual. The way you might swat something away. But something about its casualness was the most frightening thing yet. It meant he was no longer even angry. When he did it, it had simply become habit, a reflex of contempt. That night, after the children were asleep, Elise sat at the kitchen table with a notebook. She did not cry. She wrote down numbers. What things cost. What she would need. How long it might take. She had recently, quietly, enrolled in an online bookkeeping course. Paid for from small amounts. Skimmed from grocery money. Over 3 months. Hidden in an old lentil box. At the back of the kitchen cabinet. Behind the things no one ever reached for. Place that belonged entirely to her. She was 3 weeks in. She was not ready yet. She knew that. But she was closer than she had been yesterday. Her son had started going quiet. Watchful. Reading the room before entering it. Her daughter cried easily. Startled by raised voices. By sudden silences. By the particular tension that filled the house when Ethan came home in a bad mood. They were learning. That was the most heartbreaking thing. They were quietly, carefully, learning what love looked like. And what they were learning was wrong. This story does not end with a rescue. There is no dramatic mourning. No single moment of liberation. No one who arrives in time. Elise is still there. In that house. In that life. Cooking dinner. Helping with homework. Sitting across the table from a man who has long since stopped seeing her as a person. But she is not waiting for a miracle anymore. She is building one. Quietly. In stolen hours. In hidden notebooks. In an online course. She studies by phone light. After everyone is asleep. Somewhere underneath the years. Of small cruelties. And silences. And sorry when she had nothing to be sorry for. Elise is still there. Waiting. Planning. Almost ready. To the girl still deciding. You are standing at a crossroads. That does not look like one. It looks like romance. It looks like being chosen. It looks like someone who notices. The way you take your coffee. Look closer. Love does not keep score. Love does not remind you of your failures over breakfast. Love does not make you feel grateful. Simply for being tolerated. And love, real love, never raises its hand. Study, work, build something that belongs only to you. A skill, a degree, an income, a sense of self so solid that no one's cruelty can quietly dismantle it. Financial independence is not just about money. It is about having a door you can walk through if you need to. It is about never being trapped by the math of leaving. Because the most dangerous thing about the wrong man is not what he does to your body. It is what he does to your belief that you deserve better. You do. You always did. Read, learn, earn, choose carefully, and never, ever, let anyone make you forget your own name. for every woman still building her way out, and for every girl who still has time to change the story.